And off to Mpumalanga next, where the government there is hosting a 2-day Provincial Crime Prevention Summit in Mbombela aimed at adequately responding to crime and developing a program of action to deal with crime in the province. For more on this, we are now joined by our reporter, Tumelo Machogo. Tumelo, good morning and thank you so much for making time for us. Speak to us about some of the crimes committed in the province that the province has said is really a headache for them and how to deal with some of these issues.
Well, indeed, Aldrin, because this summit is exactly to actually say that, to actually come up with ideas on how to deal with crime, especially here in the province. We have seen that kidnapping is actually one of the crimes that is actually causing a headache for the province, and the province is number 2 in the country when it comes to kidnapping cases, and those cases are going up by the day. And also we have seen those cases, especially in the Dalmas area, where the case have actually gone up, and also in the area of Mpumalanga. And also now that we have been also getting reports, especially in Komati Port, where the cases has also been going up, especially when it comes to truck drivers that are crossing the border. You remember that truck drivers have to queue there for sometimes even for days just to cross the border, and people have been kidnapping some of the truck drivers and also demanding ransom money. But also that is a crime that is of concern. Murder is also one of the crime that is also of concern, and also come to rape, and also issues of rape and murder in the province has also been one of those issues that have actually caused a major problem. But we are joined by the DG from the provincial government, Mr. Makhukhu Mampuru. That is just thank you so much for joining us this morning. Just talk to us about why was the purpose the summit was formed, and why did you guys wanted to start this summit and to get the summit get underway?
Thank you, Tumelo. The summit was convened in order to give further context to the issues that you are raising. To a cynic, they may say, but we know what the kind of crime is being committed in Mpumalanga. But crime is very dynamic. How we had in previous times fought crime has to keep changing from time to time, and you see that in the program that we are positing. Crime takes place in communities, takes place against business, it takes place in traditional authorities. And therefore, right at the beginning of our program, we bring those forward to say to us, how are we being affected by this crime? Hence, we are having this summit. And then, of course, we go into a more detailed presentation of different perspectives on crime, whether it is the statistics, whether the ethical considerations of fighting crime, how the justice system fights crime, and so forth and so on.
And also that we've seen now there's the NPA here, we've seen CPF here, but how are you guys dealing with crimes such as, especially crimes in communities because we've seen that the communities have been affected by crime, and especially schools, hospitals now. We have seen the rise in that hospital where hospital employees have been targeted, ambulances have been targeted. How are we dealing with those crimes? Because now those crimes seem to be one of those crimes that are actually on the rise now, especially in the province.
So communities are very critical to combating crime, because the people that combat crime, those thieves, those murderers, all of them come from communities. If communities don't get involved in telling on what is happening around them, if they pick up some funny, unusual movement, unusual activities, they should report, whether to the community policing forums, whether to the police, whether to any authorities that they know, even in traditional authorities. That is why we have the CPF here, we have the House of Traditional Leaders in attendance, we have Business Against Crime. All of those are part and parcel of the fight against crime. We have the private security companies also in attendance.
Talk to me about the major crimes that we have seen in the province. What are those major crimes that you actually, as a provincial government, you want those crimes to actually decrease?
You have mentioned some of them. Kidnapping, hijacking, there's crime against tourists, we have had instances and we have made national news on such things as gender-based violence. So all of those are some of the crimes. There's murders. Those are the crimes that we want to find a way to tackle.
Talk to me about, especially when it comes to tourists that are being attacked. We've seen that tourist, the German tourist that was killed in South Africa, and also we've seen a number of, that is already taking the economy down, because now tourism numbers have declined in the province. How are we dealing with crime, especially when it comes to tourism, to ensure that the tourist routes are protected, to ensure that the areas where tourists are protected in our community, and also that we bring back tourists, because that's what needs to happen in the province, that the tourists come back, because now we have seen a decline, and especially when it comes to international tourists.
Our tourism numbers are beginning to pick up. Since that unfortunate incident of a German tourist that was murdered, we have taken various initiatives. We have set up a mechanism for tourism monitors, people that are visible in tourist areas, so that our tourists, because these are people coming from out of our province, so that they know who to interact with in case they are lost. Our tourist monitors are very visible. Our fights against crime ensure that communities can urgently and on a quick basis communicate whatever distresses they are picking up, whether to our tourist monitors or just directly to the police.
And also, that just talk to us also about, we're talking about these numbers of crimes. Do we think what can be done to help the police, the communities? What can they do to help the police? Because we know the numbers of police officers, especially in the province, are very low. And what can it be done to ensure that police are being assistant in fighting crime, and also with people that are committing crime? What can be done with the NPA, ensuring that people that are committing crime, they're also being held accountable, they also go to jail, they're also being prosecuted, and quickly?
At the very basic level, there's the whistleblower mechanisms of the South African Police Service and other crime-fighting institutions in our country. There are initiatives of our traditional authorities, there are initiatives of business, there's our CPFs in communities, but also because we border Mozambique and we border Eswatini, there are issues of transnational crime. So at the end of the day, our communities need to just be alert, be able to know who should be here, who shouldn't be here, and whenever they pick up any issues, they should feel free to communicate to our people. The entire value chain for fighting crime needs to be trusted to deal with crime, because if our people think that the people that commit crime end up not being prosecuted or end up not being convicted, and they end up coming back to communities and to act against them, that usually discourages people from acting, from taking the very initiative. So summits like this one are intended to re-intensify that message, that when you are in this situation, this is what you need to do, and be assured that the value chain of the justice crime prevention will be able to deal with all of that.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. That was the Director General of the Mpumalanga Provincial Government, Mr. Makhukhu Mampuru.